Today and every Friday, we'll be looking at how arts, culture, music, and all these are also contributing to fixing the nation. And our guest, the first hour of these conversations, is somebody who is a fixer in all aspects. All aspects. Juliani! Yeah.
Hey, umesema baridi na wewe hamjuani. We are not in the same
no, I hardly feel cold actually.
Ever?
Hardly.
You hardly feel cold.
It takes a lot for me to feel cold.
Yeah, so even when we shook his hand.
Yes. His hands are warm.
Yeah.
Please share that warmth, Juliani. If you care up at least. Please, thank you. Share it.
But you're so high energy. How does Juliani get ready for the day? Because whether you're performing and unaruka hadi hapa, or you're here, you're high energy, you're warm. What's your morning?
No, camera. When camera is there, in a normal day, meaning boring, the boringest of the borings and the chill of the chill. Yeah, but so the theory is don't eat.
Don't eat.
He said this to me before.
Don't eat what?
Don't eat 1 meal a day. You have to do 1 meal a day.
At what time?
At before lunch mostly. So don't do morning and don't do jioni.
This syllabus is changing too fast. I have grown up being told that breakfast is the most important.
Ilikuwa hype, ilikuwa advertising.
No, but umekuja na hype yako.
No, this works.
Your body, the way it when you don't eat breakfast, I think there's a signal that's usually sent that we have to retain every bit of fat, every bit of nina that we have to keep ourselves going for the rest of the day.
That's sugar telling you.
That's
stuff.
sugar telling me. He's told me this. Juliana has been telling me eat 1 meal a day since 2020.
And I've tried intermittent fasting or not necessarily.
Fasting. You have to do. It's a lifestyle thing. So
OMAD.
You can imagine
1 meal a day.
1 meal a day.
No, when I don't eat, I'm more active, like more energetic. So I sleep well.
Okay.
No headache. No, I haven't had stomach aches since when.
I eat well and I don't have headaches.
Yeah. The only reason I can believe Juliani is because my older brother has started doing this. And if you saw him last year to now, he's a different person. Okay. He's more focused, more energy.
The 1 meal a day.
The 1 meal a day. Okay. So I think it's not.
But can we tailor it to our energy needs? Because I feel like not everybody has the same
energy and medical needs, obviously.
Okay, the medical
is a standard.
Are you kidding me?
Like
we have different bodies.
No, because when you eat now, when you eat now, when you eat now, it takes 2 days for the food to get into your blood system. So even when you eat now, the energy you're using now is not for now. It's yesterday's.
It's yesterday's.
You're tutaendelea nayo. Listen, Juliani, Janet is going to give you a quotable quote.
Yes.
Okay, she's a wordist. You're a lyricist. Quotable quote. Just listen to her and tell us if you can guess who first of all said these words.
I think I like that Juliani is here for this one because this was somebody who was a religious leader. And he was a religious leader and an activist. And every day he was using the pulpit, a microphone. He was crying. This person would cry about the things that he was seeing in his country.
Africa.
I was just going to say.
Desmond Tutu.
Yeah, just say my quote.
Okay.
Juliani is that guy. You know those people that switched on? Okay, so my humanity is bound up in yours because we can only be human together. Who said that?
Desmond Tutu.
Desmond Tutu.
When did he say this?
He said this, I will actually tell you when he said this. First of all, he did say it once. He used to say it in various public addresses and interviews throughout the 90s. And it was a call for empathy and unity in a nation which had racial division. Desmond Tutu would pray and cry. I feel like he restored for me faith in what our faith leaders can do when they're really in touch with what people are going through. And he was one of them. So he said this throughout. He always used to have these quotes of, we are one. My humanity is bound in yours. If anything happens to you, it's going to come back and affect me. So, Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Haiti.
Oh, Haiti.
Yeah, the humanity of Haiti.
It does not take away.
It's bound to us.
We'll get back. I see where you're going.
What do they say to you?
Your humanity.
Yes.
The short version, like
the immediate one.
What it means
the brief version.
Humanity.
When Desmond says that my humanity
is bound in yours, we can only be human together.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, of course, because even yesterday I was with my friends. Some friends were hanging out. I realized that actually I'm only me. I'm a better version of me when I hang out with them. Yeah, just automatically, because they get to release. I get to release some stuff about me that normally by myself I can't. I get to see myself in another aspect that I normally don't. By myself. Yeah.
Are you a people person?
No, but with my friends, yes.
With your friends.
I think you are an introvert, but you are a people person. Because you can be an introvert who is a people person. Like, you like people. Opendi watu wengi, but unapenda watu.
No, I love,
like on a one-to-one, on a one-to-one
I'm
level.
curious about human beings.
Yes.
I love human beings, but I can only do it for a period of time.
Yes. And then your energy nature, and you need to, you know.
The social battery goes down.
So no, I say you're even too. It's because when human whatever nakupatia, you need to go and
you need to unwind. So you love people, you love performing, you're a very powerful performer. When did you find yourself saying, I'm not just going to be a performer, I'm not just going to be an artist, I'm going to be a performer and an artist who speaks up for change? When did you realize that?
I don't think I realized that in Ilsama. Because my background with the Koflani Mau, because Mau Kishaka, they used to talk about that. And you can only talk about what you know. So the difference is now, previously we were just documenting our lives and what's happening. And then I realized that actually I can use these words and tools to now preempt what I think the society should be and how the world should be. So that's how it changed, at least. Yeah.
I know you don't like the word.
I want to pause a bit.
Oh, okay.
You know, we are here on the ground, we are fixing the nation together. Juliani wanasema, hii bag inagonga meza kiasi.
Hii swag.
Swag. Swag, I let
This is my brand actually, it's called Sense.
Hey,
It's
nice.
very good. Is that leather?
Man bag.
Wakelea hapo juu.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
I
my.
like it. I love
It's
the
called
Sense is
Sense. Essence, yeah.
SSENCE.
Wakelea hapo juu. All right. To your
Oh
question.
yeah, I was saying, I know the word activist. You don't like it because you come in quicker. You're one thing, right? But then over the last few months, like coming from June last year, we've seen the rise of many activists. What does it mean to Juliani to be an active citizen? I won't say activist, but just an active citizen.
Because we live in the society, so the society has to be. We have to question ourselves consistently. We have to dream about what's possible consistently. So when we talk about activism or active citizen, it doesn't mean we hate our country or we hate our leaders. It means we always have to interrogate ourselves consistently to find out what's the best version of this society can be. So that's how.
I like that. What's the best version of this society? What's the best version of me? What's the best version of all of us, right?
Yes.
Okay. What's our best version of Kenya? What does that look like to Juliani?
No one knows. But we have to interrogate consistently. We have to say that the government should be taking care of its citizens and not killing them. The government should be able to take care of healthcare and not try to. So those are the things we know.
Yes.
What it can be, we don't know. We can only refer based on the what do you call it, Maju, first world, whatever. We can only, but also PR kuna issues, So, but if we consistently engage and interrogate ourselves, then I think we'll find a sweet spot that works for everybody. But as far as we know right now, it doesn't work for anyone.
Yeah. Oh, it works for.
I mean, it works for a few.
For a few,
yeah.
But not for me. How do we get to that point where we are interrogating ourselves? Because I think when you say we interrogate ourselves, we have to have something, some commonality in our thinking or in our direction.
We don't need commonality. We just need to have this.
Conversations.
We're having this. We don't, and that's the one thing.
Juliani, I'll put it to you that that's what we have every day. Everywhere you go, you'll go to a place, you'll find someone hapo kwa mtaa, wamekaa chini wanaongea. Ukienda kama hapa Jivanji, there is bunge la wananchi. You go to any village, any town, you'll find guys who sit somewhere, right?
Right.
They just talk.
That's how we got here. That's how we got here.
So how do we then bring all that together
now towards the direction? We just need to talk, the truth is. We will never fix, because once we talk, we somehow shape minds, we direct how things should be. So we just need to talk. We don't need to strategy, plan, Vision 2030 peke yake. In the talking is where we figure out what
the talking
works.
is the fixing.
Yeah, talking is the fixing, because now we get to be a mirror about, we have to be a mirror is created about ourselves. We get to see ourselves back. So we just need to keep talking.
We keep talking. You know what I think? What Juliani is saying has made me think about something. The time people started talking and having these conversations, it was almost like, I don't want to diminish it by saying a dress rehearsal, but it was a rehearsal for the kind of courage we have today. Because they started by being vocal, right? Then we got independence. There were still those post-independent voices that were like, Bado, you guys have said we're liberated, but we're not. They kept talking. Then all the way till Saba Saba, people were talking. So I think there's something there. Some people might feel like it's all talk and no action, when in many ways the talk is the action, because it's a sign of our courage. It's a sign of us saying, we're not going to be quiet, we're going to talk. It may not look like much to you. Or Juliani said, I'm going to do a song, you know, that says Utawala and says, Sita Simama, I'm not going to be the one. It's a song, but it's a movement, it's an anthem. So I see that. I see it as well. Like
and I think that is like sort of answering the question I was asking. Because you see, many times when we talk about what's not working, what should be fixed, serikali ifanye, watu hawafanyi, and then Juliani comes and he did not sing ati hawafanyi, he said si, right? You personalize that song and Sita Nikonja.
He's like, speaking of which,
it's Omad. Oh. So why did you think of personalizing the song? Was it a happy accident? Was it those songs where you say Nitaenda nitalala, or was it a well thought out of I'm taking agency?
Because I grew up in Dandora.
Yeah.
So growing up in Dandora, and then when Saba Saba may happen, I can vividly remember that day, and stuff happened, and I always felt like things are just happening to me. Things are happening, and then the shift happened the day I realized that actually I have whatever it takes. I'm as powerful as the next person to change things, and even I'm probably more powerful because I use words and I shape minds. So the day I realized that whatever I have in Yesu na mkate na fish, whatever I have in my hand, I can use it. And that's what I wanted every human, every Kenyan at least to feel, that whatever you have in your hand, you can use it to shape, at least present it kwa table. We're not saying that you're going to fix the nation. We're just saying that at least present it, and then let's see what happens from there.
It's your contribution to fixing.
Yes,
right?
yes.
That's what you're saying. Whatever I have, it's my contribution. I'm going to put it on the table.
Yes.
Let's see what else it can do.
Yeah.
It could be a missing piece of another larger pieces of jigsaw puzzles.
What you have where you are, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's how you fix. You know, this is a mic.
Yeah.
You're fixing it by
that. Juliani, these conversations that we want to be having on Fridays will be on how arts, culture, sport, and all are contributing to fixing the nation. And then somebody was like, arts, culture is not fixing the nation, Aji. Jibu yo swali.
Art is the only thing that actually has been fixing for the longest.
Preach it.
How?
Preach it.
Because politics and whatever is systematic, so it means it always follows after. Because it's more of inetwaji, laws, whatever.
Yep.
It solidifies. But arts, like right now, when you're talking about the East African society and communities, whatever, right now, the mix of music, tunasikiza Diamond more than ever before. Tunasikiza South African music more than ever before.
Yeah.
We know what's happening right now in South Africa. We know what's happening in the US right now.
Yeah.
Ever before, because of the tools we have and we can employ. But before all that happens, and before, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. So before.
No, but I get this. I'm like him. If you tell me talk without using your hands,
Unimsewa lazima skiza.
I'm the same, so I'll just go to the rest of the show.
So it takes time for human beings to change. And what art does, from ads to music to whatever, it needs to present that case before people start changing.
Yeah.
Before we solidify it into so what, and again, it all goes back to people interrogating themselves. It all goes back to the mirror, where people have to consistently engage with themselves, and music does that. Music get to not only shape, but get people to think about themselves. And then by the time we come na laws, na rules, na nini, wako ready for it. And that's what Kenya Kwanza wanna fail. Wanafala sana, because they should be actually asking people questions about where do they want to go.
Yeah.
Where do they want to go, and use music, use art to try to get people to engage. And then after hapo, it's not just a mobilizing factor. It's not about mnafanya event alafu tuko na mwanamuziki hapa tuimbie sasa zile watu wanakunywa chai
tuburudishe tutumbuize
na it's not about that. It's about at that particular moment it's people get to see themselves in a different kind of way. So you know, to not try to.
I like what you've said. It's presenting what things could look like. Best case scenario, worst case scenario,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
To one as what, and then you make your decisions from there. You shift your mindset from there. I want to narrow down to urban tone, which was so critical for us last year. But so many people didn't get it because how any relation, someone is like singing Nikona Jibag Najat. And then that's somehow spurring, you know, a feeling of either patriotism, ama I want better, ama even Angukanao being about absolutely nothing close to politics, but people took it and ran with it in the streets. Like, how do we make that correlation? Because I think people think if it's music or arts that's changing perception and doing things like that, it has to be like Utawala. It has to be Nikonja, siwezi, you know, Karanga. If it's not like that, then
there's no connection.
Yeah, there's no
Right.
connection.
How does it connect to this movement?
What do you tell someone who's like, how near your connection?
It's because music is emotional first. So it's emotional, it's vibe, it's energy. It has nothing to do with what I'm saying. But at every particular moment, the reason why it took 12 years, and now somebody reminded me yesterday, it's been 12 years since we released the song.
What?
Yeah, not even 10, because people are saying 10. The reason why
People were saying 13. Okay, but yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, at ni long.
It's been a minute.
Over a
Two
decade,
twice.
yes.
Long.
Yeah.
So what it does is, when the people are trying to find words to express what they're feeling at that particular season and time, they'll use music to interpret that, ama to communicate that.
Yeah.
So, Jibad Najag, Angukanayo, they were trying to find the words, and music gave them the words, entertainment gave them, art gave them the words, and picture of what it should be like, or what they're trying to communicate at that particular time. Yeah. You know, so the color of society is music and art.
I like that. The color of society is music and art.
Yeah.
And then music is also able to rally. I can see the music connection, because music, people will just, there's a beat, it gives you the vibe, it gives you, it brings you something together. Give me paintings. Even let's not even go to graffiti first, because graffiti is not that something else. But just painting. So you painting abstract. How does that help fix? How does that fit into this conversation?
Because when you're doing painting, the simple fact that you're conscious and you're aware at that particular time when you're doing the stroke, that moment.
Yeah.
And there's a project we're doing into music therapy. Because for me, when I grew up in Dandora, there's so much going on around me that I don't know how to interpret it, and I don't know how to share it. The day I had one word, and another word, and another word, then somehow the process of capturing whatever is happening in your mind, and then putting it on paper, and then putting it on record, hata kama itakuwa hit ama itakuwa nini, it means there is a awareness, and you can see your thought outside yourself. Right. So even right now, when you talk about mental health and stuff like that, the only way we can solve anything around mental health, anything around identity, and I think the biggest problem in a society is identity. Hiyo ni story ingine. But it all based on how do people not only capture their thoughts and what's going on and what they're dreaming about, what they are troubling them and whatever, capture it and put that process into stuff.
Express
it. That's the most amazing thing about art and music. So music, art is therapy, and it helps people see themselves.
Right. More openly, like you are okay now to look at yourself more critically. You can laugh at yourself. You can express yourself. You can cry. You can express all the emotion using this. Let's take a break. It's 7:30. This is Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time. This morning, we are live from the Jivanji Gardens right here in Nairobi, and this is Mike on the Ground.
We're also in conversation with Juliani, fixing the nation with arts, with the culture, with the music, with the pulse. And I wanted to ask, sometimes not everybody has a big agenda. So I was going to kutoa vibes, Juliani. My name's Sunny. Nataka kuimba. I want to sing about, can I say this on air? I'm looking for yes, love. Let me go with that.
Love is
love. Let's go with that.
It's all encompassing.
Love, mihadarati, nini, and that's it. I have no bigger agenda. I have nothing to push. Is that low-key irresponsible of the platform that you have, or the opportunity that you have? Ama kama we hauna kitu ingine ya kusema, just sing about your love and drugs.
Yeah, talk about, because that's part of it. Expression is part of everything. Yeah, talk about whatever you feel at that particular time. Again, we go back to what we mentioned earlier, is being a mirror. So when you document what's happening in your life, you get to know what's happening in your life. Like for us in Dandora, when you're growing up, when you're young, hauko najutambia ase aji unaumia, get.
Yep.
So you can only use that. And then what was South Sea, wakina Isa walikuwa wanaongea kuhusu tuko kani kila siku. So tulikuwa tunashinda wasa wana pesa.
Yeah, like we're not the same.
Yeah, man. Sisi tuna go through, and I think the kulikuwa na shida sana na South Sea na kina Isa, because okay, me I was young, so I didn't know, but I was like, see tulikuwa maheta. Because we are going through this stuff, and then they are going through wana gombas, nini. So it didn't make sense, but that was the reality. So
true.
Yeah.
So and also it exposes, right? It exposes all these sides, like Riangenje. And these kids, and they started, the Spider Clan. Cash copy and but you just look at those guys. There's a message that actually they're saying. They're talking about their day, their life, their psyche, their struggles, and their view of the solution. Because then you listen to all those songs and you're like, kuna kitu hawa sawa nasema, right?
Sometimes it's not about solving. Sometimes it's just
about expressing and engaging.
I remember the first time in New York, literally, and I'm not joking. Biggie Smalls, because Biggie Smalls was my favorite rapper. Literally everything that I've ever heard in his song, I could see it live in New York.
Right.
From bridge to what. So I painted a picture in my mind about
how New York looks like.
So I wasn't reading a book, but I was listening to lyrics and words, and him sharing his reality at that particular time. When I was in New York, I was like, wow, kumbe ndio hii, kumbe
Brooklyn.
Kumbe ndio hii.
Okay.
You get, so that's how powerful it
is. Yani ungeambiwa go over the Brooklyn Bridge to nana just because of the music, unaweza jipeleka.
Literally.
Uko like,
it takes you there.
Literally.
Are there other artists outside Kenya who continue to inspire you, continue to inspire how you think, how you perform? Any artist to inspire you?
Kuna this guy who does reggae, TK Fakoli or something. He's one of the best in my opinion. And then Jay-Z. Yeah.
Okay.
And
in a world where kila kitu, we're very sensitive, a lot of it for good reasons, because people have been getting away with a lot of nonsense for a long time, but we're also now sometimes taking it to the extreme where people feel like I can't express myself, I can't really say what's on my mind. How do you straddle that line between Staki Juliani akwe cancelled, but I do have things to say? Na si cancelled na gava ni, na watu.
Na watu.
Yeah.
Watu wajipange tu. Shauri yao, they'll catch up later. Society always catches up later.
Yeah.
And some guy, a friend, I saw online a guy called Wangwe, and even told him yesterday, there's something about shame. What music does is always art. Okay, let me say art. What art does is always pushes that boundary of shame. Because we always, we grew up in a society of order, and this is how it's supposed to be. Kijana nafaa kwa hivi, msichana nafaa kubehave hivi. So we have to always be pushing the boundary of us, of ourselves. So when you music is the only thing that art is the only thing that shame may exist, or shame becomes a tool.
Right.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
It strips away the shame.
Yes.
And sometimes when you do it, you give other people permission to do the same thing, because shame really holds people back.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's I was also going to ask, I know we spoke a while back when the four of us were talking, and we were talking about it's a revolution. The revolution is here. You said something interesting. I don't know whether you said you know, we were saying whatever happened last year is going to lead to a revolution. Did you say that the revolution already happened? The revolution will happen. Where are we in that conversation?
It's being televised.
No, the revolution happened.
Will be televised. It happened.
Already happened. Millennials na tuwakolo and on catch up. Was then a government always catches up later.
Yeah.
Ndio sasa wanaanza kuongea, oh, we should have listened. It's not all that. Everybody always catches up later. But
so when did the revolution happen?
The only thing that was remaining to fit the puzzle and the puzzle to be complete was the mental revolution. And that happened. And that happened when people individually took up upon themselves to try to do something about what they need to do, fix in this country. And when you June 25th, when you ulikuwa kwa street pale, ulikuwa na zurura yani, you could see it. I remember June 18th, when watu wako wameshikwa, when you go to the police stations, maloya na masuti zao na LSK wana bang. Didi, inaitwaje? OB desk hapo Central.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. None were young, and they are not old, and they are young lawyers, and they are so enthusiastic about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then tukenda Kamkunji, and then you see the people coming out of the jail cell when we were being released. Tulikuwa na Bonis, juu na nani hapo. You see people coming out. These are not the normal culprits wa streets. Wala wamelipwa. You didn't see sijui Kibera, sijui Dandora. You saw what totally different. And then they were so excited coming out of the cell. And you were like,
Yeah.
So the revolution happened. It was going to catch up. The government is catching up. Unfortunately, it will take them a long time for them to catch up. And I always say this. President Ruto did exactly what he said he was going to do. And that is unite the nation.
Yeah.
The only difference is that he alikuwa anatumia hate.
Wow.
Because the only ingredient that is going to change things is love. And that's what the Gen Z did.
So if the revolution happened, and you're saying it happened last year in June, so what's been going on since then? What is this phase that we are in? What do you call it?
That's a good question.
When a seed is planted on the ground, you don't say, utasema nilipanda maembe, usemangi nilipanda mbegu.
The seed was planted.
Yeah, so the seed was planted. We planted the mbegu. And when we are planting the mbegu, you always see the final fruit. You never see the seed.
You see the harvest.
You always see the harvest. You always see the forest.
Yeah.
So now everybody catching up to it becoming a forest. They are watering it down. So when we're having this conversation, we are watering the seed. And consistently we start seeing the benefits and what it means to be to live in a fixed society, to live in a society that we have shaped. Right?
The part for we have shaped is encouraging, then it worries me kidogo as well, because I'm like, nasiko baya, we have our issues as well. So even as we push this needle, as we change our mindset, we start thinking differently, are we going to be that different from the leaders that we think are the problem? Yeah. Is there any guarantee that 5 years from now, in a Kenya where we think we've dealt with what needed dealing with, but tunajipata in the same place?
We don't need a guarantee.
Najipata Juliani ni president, alafu Janet ni deputy wake, na bado tuko na corruption scandal ya 6 billion. You know, that kind of worries me.
As long as we can find out that tuko na corruption ya 6 billion, that's enough.
Okay.
Because initially, when Munyakei, remember Munyakei wa Goldenberg?
Yep.
When you saw, right now, if you go online, everybody's anatoa corruption cases. Sijui mse ako sipali amenini akashoot video.
Yeah.
Initially on Goldenberg, the only Munyakei when Ali come out, it was only Munyakei. You could only see Munyakei.
Yeah.
Now you have 50 Munyakeis saying stuff.
Yep.
So as long as we are talking about it, as long as there's somebody who can stand up and say, I've seen something wrong and I think it should be different.
Yeah.
That's what matters. As long as Boniface Mwangi seme, me, I want to be the president. Even if we think he doesn't fit the whatever, then that's what needs to happen. So it's not about fixing and perfect and, oh, now tunavaa masuti na tuko sawa na tuna smile. No, it's about consistently engaging, figuring out what we need to do, how our society should be like.
So it won't be this perfect corruption-free Kenya.
It will be corruption-free. Juliani, can I ask, we've talked about here that art and music can shift culture, can fix the nation. Where is the space for support, whether it's corporates, because arts and culture and music has always been a conversation in Kenya. A lot of the time artists will say we don't feel supported. That's one side of the coin. How can we actually completely, in a way, I don't know whether this is the right word to use, revolutionize art and music and culture to be a very core part of shifting and fixing the nation? How do we do that? How do we do that over here? How can Kenyans support it? What do we need to do?
Nothing. Nothing. For art to be truly independent, you don't need support. Because initially I thought that was UAA, government. No, because the uncomfortable, the cringe, that's what art does.
Yeah.
The uncomfortable conversation, the cringe conversation, the conversation that outside our norms and our culture, people, they can't support. They always support after. But during the pushing the envelope,
should they support? Or it doesn't matter?
No, they shouldn't. Because of Aribu.
Okay.
Because atakamna mae, huyu ni mwanamuziki tuimbie hapo. It doesn't work that way. But they always catch up later.
Even creating a enabling environment. Wacha kusupport directly kusema nimepea wasanii, nimetenga bilioni 4 ya wasanii. I mean just creating an environment where nikitaka kushoot video yangu hapa Jivanji, hakuna mtu anakuja kuniuliza maswali. Would that count as support? Ama you want you want that
actually tunataka hapa ukamjivanji uchapwe. Ndio sasa uandike song poa. And I'm not joking actually on this, because art is supposed to push and be in spaces that it normally wouldn't be in.
Yeah.
Because in a society, we live in a society where we need order and we need to put things a certain way. Art is the only thing that always questions that line.
Right.
So, yes, a society will always put that line, but artists will like push that barrier kidogo. So we don't need support. The only thing at least we know we need and has been working is that once a society aligns, and the people, it's not the government, it's not the corporate kwanza na ufala, but as far as the people align and our people feel a certain way, then whatever. Like in a million years, mtu kama mimi singekaa kwa hii space. Imagine Kenya 15 years ago. Mimi ningekuwa tu fala fulani. Commercial break. Hata singekuwa naongea, si ndio? And I'm here. So think about it.
Think about it.
So we've been pushing up the envelope consistently. That my opinion inaweza kuwa out of context sometimes, inaweza kuwa nini, but it matters. Kwa table, it matters. So that's what art has been doing. The cringe, the uncomfortable.
And you sit in that discomfort until it becomes kawaida.
Yes.
Then you push again.
Yes.
Go back to the next level of discomfort.
How do we then use art to fix ourselves? Because art is doing a lot of fixing the collective and government. How do you use art to speak to individuals so that the individual wakes up and feels, you know what, I'm going to do the right thing myself. I'm going to wake up and I will not litter.
Right.
I will respect other people in the society. I will be right. I'll have integrity. How do we use art and music and so on?
First, actually, I want to question Kidog about, because you yourself, you don't see yourself as an artist, yet you are.
Okay.
I was going to be like, you told the wrong person, but we'll never hear the end of it.
As long as you have a pinch of personality, you're an artist.
I like that.
As long as you have a pinch of something to you, you're an artist. Because the only thing that, and I have to go biblical around this, is that the only thing that God said is that we are creating in His own image, and the only characteristic of an artist is the ability to create. An ability to create in a manisha, we get to sprinkle a little bit of ourselves in spaces. That's why you're here as Latif, you know. So that's why there's no another male upper. There's no. So we are all artists. So the only when it comes to ourselves in society, we have to see ourselves as such. We always want to put things in a box.
Yeah.
Tuseme wasanii ndio wale and then sisi tuko hapa. So every day, the way we pang our things, the way I put this, the way I do this, this is art.
There's a Black King Kappa on WhatsApp. He sent us a message saying, to fix this nation, you have to dismantle it piece by piece and then assemble it all over again, piece by piece. What do you think of that?
I don't need to say anything else.
Enough said. Drops mic.
Also on YouTube, guys are asking exactly how do we inject more? How do we like push the envelope more? Ni kama your revolution may happen. It's almost like we've lost momentum. I guess maybe that's what people are worried about. Yeah. So then, how do we continue pushing, injecting like?
People have been injecting daily. People are injecting. This is injection.
Yeah.
This is injection.
No.
You have to see all the angles to it. We are injecting daily and injecting. And I think the issue is when we talk about injecting, we always think about fighting the government. No, it's about engaging the government, and people are doing it daily, online, kwa streets. Ule mama late Tom press conference. That's injecting daily. I'm a conversation at Jivanji. That's injecting. And injecting doesn't mean the government is bad. It just means that we have to question, we have to ask questions, and we're doing it daily.
We are.
Yeah.
We really are.
Because I think countries that have continued to, I always call it momentum. You know, to sustain momentum takes a lot, and you have to be wise about it. So I hear Juliani, this is injecting. Mandamano is injecting. A song is injecting. I think we're very used to a one-dimensional version of what it means to be like, we're active citizens. Yeah, sometimes we did the End Femicide March. That needed to happen because it was a spate of too many killings. Mandamano had to happen. Then this had to happen. Then Utawala happened at some point. So I think it's redefining what it means to be in a movement and revolution. It takes these kinds of versions. And I think Nikama Kenya hasn't had, somebody once said Kenya is like the, what is it called? Kenya is almost like the baby of Africa in terms of we've never really felt the pinch of what it means to be on our knees. It's a very controversial statement. It's very controversial. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying.
I see where they're coming from though.
These are people who have had to sustain momentum for decades. They had to sustain momentum to get through apartheid. They had to sustain momentum to get through certain
military rule.
And this is us now, I think, in many ways being like, okay, you know, it's a complex conversation, but we have to learn to sustain momentum, and that it doesn't always mean you're out and about. There's that moment. There's this moment. There's the moment when he's on stage. There's the moment when you're having a conversation with your kids. All of that, I think, is sustaining momentum.
And you're right, because I think we also want a quick fix, because we're like, si tulienda kwa streets, si wali reject finance bill. Now, the next thing is we should have a perfect nation. You know, all the things that we have set out on our agenda should be done, but it's a marathon, not a sprint. And a really, really long. And when you start from self, I think that marathon, it gets even longer. You've extended the amount of time you're spending on this.
The conversations are always insightful and refreshing. This is Steve Jao, who is in Juba, South Sudan, who says that. And our community of fixers who are joining us online everywhere, even on Facebook and on YouTube, are feeding us, sending their comment. There are those who are agreeing with what Juliani is saying, is that, you know, it's for all of us to do this. It's for all of us to fix it. And even when we start having a conversation with the people here at the Jivanji Gardens, when we'll be having this conversation, it's how do we fix this conversation together? How do we contribute? And Juliani, what you're saying is that all of us, whatever we are doing, we are actually contributing to fixing the nation. We just don't realize it. Do we need to realize it? Do we need to have that awakening that actually what I'm doing means something? What I'm doing is contributing something? Or do we just continue the way we're doing things?
Because we're using anger and not love to... Because every time tunasema, hey, we are not, as Kenyans, we are not angry enough. Yeah, so we're using, and anger it's a trauma response, in my opinion. But if love, it means you love your country, you love yourself, you want the best for your children, you want the best for you, for yourself even.
But anger is such a powerful motivator, Juliani.
No, it's not, unless you convert into love.
Really?
Utachoka.
Okay, that's true. It's like a short burst of...
of methane or anger doesn't maintain, because I personally do stuff because I see what it can be. I love this country. I love myself. I want the best for myself. I'm a creative. I solve problems, but you need a certain environment for that to exist and to work.
Yeah.
So engaging the society, engaging myself, and engaging the world. Like, and we hardly see our contribution to the global. We always think we are fixing Kenya.
Yeah.
We don't see that actually whatever spark of thing we are doing here somehow shapes. Let me give it like dreads. I mean, we can go back to ancient Egypt, whatever, but the truth is, for example, dreads ilianza Kenya, like with Mau Mau and whatever, and then Jamaica.
Right.
So in a cadre too, but in the grand scheme of things, you're shaping the world and how the world.
Mali.
Exactly. Like Kimathi, and you can talk about Tomboya and how Tomboya actually shaped Malcolm X.
Right.
Whatever, the US, the civil rights movement in the US. We always see ourselves because tunajiona kwa hiyo kona ndogo, but actually whatever we do right now is automatically shaping how the world should be.
And it's a good thing
I love
and a
that.
scary thing at that, because
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, sisi si wa kukopi, but
It's a big responsibility.
It is.
You know, when I talk
Scary.
to my sons, you know the way we've been socialized for hair to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, enough I'll shave if you're a boy, you know, keep it neat.
Yeah.
Hair,
And
slick back,
they've
slick
been
back, slick
pushing back. They were like, actually, Mom, I want to grow my hair. What's so wrong with me having dreads? It might sound like a small conversation, but they're seeing a version of themselves that makes them feel powerful. So nimewacha sahi, I'm just like, you know what, do you? Because that's how you see yourself. You see, my 9-year-old was like, I'm African, I'm proud of my hair. Why do I always have to have it combed? You're having these conversations with young kids who are seeing a different version of who they are in society. Not a version that has to always be neat, and it doesn't matter if you grow it, it can still be neat, but it's your African hair. It's that, it's no longer you have to relax curly kit, not that there's anything
Yeah,
against those things.
Nope.
But I
Curly
think
kit ni kitambo.
curly
Hey,
We know sasa age yako.
but even on, like, for example, for TV, for the longest time,
Tumbo
seeing
cut,
someone
ungesema tumbo cut sasa.
yeah, that's the other one. Tumbo cut. But guys, even on TV, for the longest time, seeing women in a braid was sacrilege. What do you mean with our braids TV, right? Because your hair had to look slicked down, long, black, everything perfect, right? An afro, why would you do that?
Yeah, one day we'll talk about how image
I love
is fixing the
to
nation.
get
And that's actually where I was going, because balance, you see, where how we are seen, how we are perceived for
Yeah.
so many people is so important, but we push the envelope with our art and everything.
Yeah.
Is that part of
Pause
a
it,
small...
pause it.
Oh,
Pin
okay.
it. It's 8 a.m., so we're going
Oh,
to
we
take
have to
this
go to
break,
break,
right?
okay.
So we are live at the Jiva G Gardens. This is Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time. Why are we here today? We are here today because we said this is what we shall be doing every so often, coming to the people in our community of fixers, continuing to build our community of fixers and asking, how can we fix this nation? How can we fix our leadership? How can we fix our religion? How can we fix our bad manners? How can we fix our good manners? How can we fix ourselves as a society? Keep it here. We'll be back shortly. Good morning.